Hey there, I'm Peter Soby with the Distill It with RichardListens show. I got Dr. Richard Oelberger, and we are here on the Stanford University campus in the sports complex, and we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Jordan Watkins, number 75.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, defensive lineman for the Stanford Cardinals.
In your hearts and in your homes.
So this is really exciting because there's lots of levels to Jordan, and we're going to get to all of them. But to begin with, Jordan, I pose you this question. Tell us about your humble beginnings in Atlanta.
Sure. So I grew up in Decatur, Georgia, which is maybe about a 15-minute drive or so right outside Atlanta. And grew up an only child with my dad being a doctor, emergency department, and my mom being a lawyer. Both were huge sports fans. And so I think just being around them and even my grandparents whenever they would visit is how I really grew my love for sports. And so I went to Woodward Academy, which is a big private school, actually pretty close to the airport. And I think with just how I was challenged there academically and also athletically as well, it just built up to where a place like Stanford and coming to Stanford was like a no-brainer for me.
So were your games a big family affair in high school?
They definitely were. Dad was taping everything. You could always see Mom running around on the field. She would take pictures, which was, it was awesome. And it was a hobby that she loved to do. And also for maybe some parents or grandparents that can't make it to the game and, you still want to see what your kids are doing. It was, something that she just got a kick out of.
One of our last previous shows on Distill It with RichardListens, we talked about kids in sports. How was that for you? Did you feel, obviously if your father was a doctor, your mother was a lawyer, it was all your decision? You wanted to play sports and they supported that fully, so you felt no pressure of like, oh, I gotta compete, otherwise my dad will be let down?
No, it was definitely all me. And it was funny because growing up with baseball, my dad was actually one of my coaches, which, I don't know, you've heard numerous stories about how it is being a coach's son and things like that.
Yeah, I came up this week,
Yeah, but, it was they're always just supportive of, me playing sports. As long as the grades were okay, and they always were, that was never an issue. I was afraid, what would happen if that was an issue? So
fear's a good motivator sometimes.
Exactly, it is.
So were you able to continue with 2 sports in the high school, or at some point did you have to focus?
Up till high school, I actually played 3. I would play football in the fall, basketball would be in the winter, and then baseball in the spring. And then once I started getting into the whole AAU situation and how long and crazy that season can be, baseball eventually had to be phased out. But still got to do football and basketball in high school.
What position in baseball did you play?
I was a first baseman and pitcher.
Yeah, you're like Frank Thomas, like, right?
Mm-hmm. There you go. And he was all. That's an awesome comparison because I know how great the Big Hurt was.
Yeah. So kind of like wrapping up your high school career, before we get to college, you were All-American in high school?
Yes, I was a Semper Fidelis All-American, which was awesome because I believe it was I can't remember if it was the first year actually doing it or the second year of that game. And so just looking back on it from then and who was in the game and what they're doing now, and then compared to how big it's getting now, it's pretty cool to be the start of like the beginning of something.
And so to be an All-American in high school, and now you've got college around the corner, how do you make your decision for Stanford?
Stanford was really a no-brainer for me once I made the visit out here. It's pretty funny. I always tell people the story of how I first found out where Stanford was. And I just remember meeting with my parents, and we were talking about, okay, let's start planning some visits. Where do we want to go? What do we want to see? And Stanford was one of them. I already knew 2 people on the team from high school and even before. And so I said I wanted to visit Stanford, and I remember my dad purchased the plane tickets to come out here. And so I was thinking, okay, well, I know it's got to be somewhere on the West Coast because it's in the Pac. Well, was it Pac-10 at that time, I think?
Mm-hmm.
But where exactly are we going? You know, and so when I looked at the email of the whole plane ticket confirmation that said San Francisco, I was like, okay, this is cool. It's my first time in the Bay Area. I'd been to Los Angeles before, but never San Francisco, Oakland, that area. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, like I said, once I got out here and got to interact with people on the team, the coaches, and things like that, I was like, yeah, this is.
Any pressure to go to Georgia?
You could say that. But that was like more so. I mean, like you see how recruiting is now with people on Twitter and things like that, where they want to urge you to go to school of their choice or they're fans of.
Mm-hmm.
But from the standpoint of like my family and a lot of my friends, they were just supportive of wherever.
That's great.
Yeah.
So then you went to Stanford, and that is going to be in our next video. So thank you for joining us on this segment,
No
Jordan.
problem. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Richard, and you can see us live every other Monday night on the Distill It with Richard Listens shows, live from the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood. And be looking for our next installment with Jordan, talking about his career at Stanford playing football.
Yeah, and this is a great example of how you can play many sports and figure out what you love later on and still pursue a high level of academic success.
Yes, kids, don't start specializing just yet. Play as many sports as you can.
Nice.
Number
You heard it from him.
75.